Hello warriors, I hope you're all doing great. So this video is for all my CA Inter students who are planning to appear for the Jan 2026 examinations. I know September 2025 examinations have just got over, and so the pressure on you people are now building up really big. Jan 2026 examinations are just around the corner, and ICA is also playing its part to make sure that you are all geared up for the examinations. Last time when we discussed about it, I kind of clarified it to most of the students who reached out to me that from May 25 to September 25, there were no amendments when it comes to CA inter income taxes. But for Jan 2026, ICI has launched something called as a statutory updates. Now, in this video, we are going to quickly be looking at the statutory updates which ICI has notified, and we'll be discussing with each other whether these updates are really critical that you should be worried about for your examinations, or if you can choose to let go and you can focus on your current preparations. Yes. As an overall review people, there are only two amendments which ICA has released off, and so we are looking at that very quickly of the statutory updates which is launched people. You can actually find it in the ICA portal. Simply go to the ICA portal, type statutory updates for Jan 2026 examinations. You should find this PDF in that video. Yes, but nevertheless, I don't think you need that as well. You can look into this video, and I think the video should already give you the answer for most of the questions. Let's look at what are the statutory updates. Two updates has been notified by ICI. One update is in your capital gains chapter, and one update is in your return filing chapter. Yes, so two updates is what ICI has notified. Let's understand what the amendments are. First is something relating to section 54EC. Now let me put it out to you and tell you as to what exactly does section 54EC look like. Yes, let me create a note for you people. For those who understand the section 54EC and would have done it in the past, would probably know how section 54EC looks like. Section 54EC basically comes and says that when a person is going to sell something called as a long-term immobile property, when a person is going to sell something called as a long-term immobile property and in return is ready to buy some 54EC bonds, 54EC bonds within a period of 6 months. Within a period of 6 months, he will be eligible for an exemption under section 54EC. That is what the provision is. I hope you all have already gone through this provision, my friends. Yes. So what is the provision of section 54EC? It says when you're going to sell any long-term immovable property, which is a land and or a building, within 6 months, then you can invest the money in a 54EC bonds and you'll be eligible for an exemption of rupees 50 lakhs in this. Yes, so you can claim an exemption of rupees 50 lakhs per annum. That is what the provision is coming in clarifying to you. Agreed, not agreed? Yes, so this is what the provision is. Now, in the past, you would have learned that when it comes to 54EC, there are certain bonds which are notified by Income Tax Department, which is what we normally learn in the classes. First is what we call as NHAI. First is what we call as NHAI, National Highway Authority of India. Second is what you know as RECL, Rural Electrification Corporation Limited. These are the two very common bonds people, which is something which is normally tested in examinations. These are the only two which income tax ICI generally focus upon. Now comes the amendment of the current year. In the current year, what has happened is income tax is launched that they wanted some more bonds to be notified for the purpose of section 54EC. What are the bonds? That is what we are going to look into. Bonds number one, we have already discussed people what is called as National Highway Authority of India. This is already done. This is what you know. Then you know something called Rural Electrification Corporation. The bonds which are otherwise going to be notified people are here. Power Finance Corporation, Indian Railways Finance Corporation. So now they have notified Power Finance Corporation, Indian Finance Corporation, but the most critical one which they've notified right now is what we call as Housing and Urban Development Corporation Limited, or in very common words which you would have noticed in the market people, it's called HUDCO. It's called HUDCO. HUDCO is the bond which income tax has notified it for the current year. Yes, so which means if you expect a question under 54EC, you can expect that this time they may ask you a question not by giving you NHAI or RECL. They may rather give you something called Power Finance Corporation, Indian Railways Finance Corporation, or the very critical amendment of the current attempt, which is now called as HUDCO. Yes, these are the additional bonds which can be notified, which has been notified and can be applicable for your attempt. So please be watching out to the fact that when you have a 54EC amendment exemption in the current year, you will have to use any of these bonds for the purpose of claiming the exemption. Otherwise, people, I think you're already aware about the 54EC. Bond purchase should be there within 6 months. Whatever bonds you're purchasing should be held for at least 5 years before you're going to transfer these bonds off. And whatever you invest in the bond is what you're going to eligible for capital gains, subject to a maximum amount of 50 lakhs per annum. Yes, so amendment number one, a very small critical amendment which comes and talks about HUDCO being an investment purposes. Clear? Yes, amazing. That gives me to amendment number two. Amendment number two is all about your PAN and Aadhaar linkings. For those who know people, income tax has a rule which basically comes and says that when you have to apply for a PAN, when you have to apply for a PAN, you need to mention the Aadhaar card in it. But sometimes it may be possible that you may not even have your Aadhaar number yet. There is something which is still pending. You've applied for a Aadhaar number, but it has still not come to it. In that case, people, income tax comes and clarifies you can use something called as an Aadhaar enrollment ID. Yes, this is something which you should have probably learnt about it. Yes, so what is the provision, people? If you want to apply for a PAN card, you need to mandatorily quote your Aadhaar number, but till you don't have your Aadhaar number, you can quote your Aadhaar enrollment ID. That is what the provision used to come and say. So we're going to read that to that extent, people. It says, when it comes to section 139AA, every person who is eligible to obtain Aadhaar number is required to mandatorily quote their Aadhaar number. If a person does not have Aadhaar number, he can then quote his enrollment ID for the purpose of getting an application during Aadhaar. But in the same time, you have to ensure that this Aadhaar enrollment ID has to be updated off with the Aadhaar number. At a subsequent day, when the Aadhaar number comes to you, you need to mandatorily update your Aadhaar number inside it. That is what the provisions used to come and clarify. Now, what is the amendment? It says, with effect from 1st October 24, the option of quoting enrollment ID has been discontinued. Yes, which means now income tax has come and clarified you can no more quote your enrollment ID for the purpose of obtaining a PAN. You will only be able to get a PAN number when you give the mandatory Aadhaar number itself, which means getting an Aadhaar number is the only requirement which you can get a PAN number for. Simply quoting your enrollment ID is no more permitted in income tax portal. Every person who has been allotted PAN number as on 1st July and is eligible to obtain a Aadhaar number has to intimate his Aadhaar number. A person who has been allotted Aadhaar number on the basis of enrollment ID of the Aadhaar number filed before 1st October 24 has to now intimate his Aadhaar number on or before the notified date. So, income tax has come and clarified that after 1st October, you will not be able to permit it to get a PAN number by using enrollment ID. You will have to get a PAN number only by using your Aadhaar number. In case I already got a PAN number using my enrollment ID, I was supposed to inform my Aadhaar number. That date was still not notified. That date has now been notified, people. The notified date for you is called as 31st December 2025, which means income tax has now come and clarified that any person who is having a PAN number right now and has got this PAN number by using his enrollment ID will have to mandatorily inform the enrollment ID converted the Aadhaar number which has been received by 31st December to the income tax department. A failure to do so will not make the PAN valid. PAN will become invalid unless you come and quote it. So after 31st December, if any enrollment ID basis PAN numbers are there, those will all be treated as invalid unless and until my Aadhaar number is quoted to this PAN number. Yes, this is the second amendment. So what are the two critical amendments, people, which is there? Critical amendment number 1 comes and clarifies that when it comes to section 54 EC, you can now also invest in something called as HUDCO. You can invest in something called as HUDCO. And second amendment comes and says, if you have got a PAN number using enrollment ID, if you have got a PAN number using enrollment ID, simply quote your Aadhaar number. Simply quote your Aadhaar number by 31st December 2025. 31st December 2025. These are the two amendments which has been notified for your income tax syllabus. Yes, yes, yes. Very good. Now, people, from an exam perspective, which one is important? Obviously, first one can be tested when it comes to capital gains question. Second one is my gut feeling, people, is not very critical to be tested off. If at all they have to test you, they can test you as a part of 4B, the theory question which can come up for you, where they can now give this whole para itself. They can come and say that a person wants to apply for a PAN number. What are the options available to him? He can apply using his Aadhaar number. If he does not have an Aadhaar number, he can apply by using his enrollment ID, but that is only permitted to do by 1st October 24. After 1st October 24, he can only use Aadhaar number. For all PAN numbers which were applied using enrollment ID, simply quote your Aadhaar number by 31st December. A 4-mark simple straightforward question can come for you. So yes, these are the two questions. Now my gut feeling, I don't expect that question to be coming for exam because ICAI will not make it that apparent for your exam. So second one, not very critical from my perspective. First one is the only amendment which you should be focusing upon. Other than that, people, there are absolutely zero amendments when it comes to your paper of CA Inter income tax, which means the same amendments which we discussed for May 25, same amendments which we discussed for September 25 is the same amendments which are applicable for Jan 2026 as well. My small request to all of you that if you have not focused on the amendments for Jan 2026, please focus on those amendments. May 25 was an example where they gave you some amendments. September 25 also they've tested you on some other amendments of it, and there are still some amendments which ICAI has not tested till now. Those amendments are expected to be come for Jan 2026 examinations. So please pay attention to those amendments and make sure that you are going through them very, very carefully before you go for Jan 2026 examinations. Where can you find it, people? Simply go to YouTube channel, search and say CA Inter Amendments of May 2025 by CA Rahul Agarwal. You should get the amendment video in the YouTube channel itself. You should be able to find all the amendments. Now that was a very detailed video which we had put across, people, explaining all the amendments with the proper examples. So you should be able to properly understand every amendment in that. And trust me, people, that amendments were really helpful, because for September examinations, buyback related provisions straight out got picked up from the same examples which we gave in the classes of. So if you can focus on those amendments, you can do really well for your examinations. Yes, so a very simple short video, people. 10 minutes we have completed of what are the amendments of CA Inter CA Inter Jan 2026 examinations. I hope your preparations are going really well and you continue to do such good preparations for your examinations. Trust me, people, it is always important that you consider your attempt as the final attempt and you work towards it. What happens is, at a later stage, a different conversation, but from your side the effort should be at least 1000% of what you can do for yourself. Yes, make sure that this becomes a last attempt from your perspective, and so put that extra amount of efforts which you have to do to make sure that you get through it. That is all. That is a small request from my side, people. Other than that, if you have any challenges, any confusions, any doubts, feel free to reach out to me, and I am always happy to explain you what and all is the challenges you have. Until the next video where we discuss about some more critical things, I would like to take a leave from all of you. Take care. Bye bye. Happy learning.